audible.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to D&D&D&D&D campaign number 1, Under Locks and Keys. When we last left off, the party successfully managed to help Greylog and Ivaebhins escape the Ostiliant prison of the Claw. And not only that, they managed to secure some prisoners of their own to interrogate in the process, certainly turning the tables on their enemies. Capturing Igor Kankaro, the lieutenant of the Boomer Gangers, who has been spreading their word and leading their forces against the party, and Pepa Istili, Ivaebhins' mother, one of the high priestesses of Arachne and leader of the High Istili clan. Taking them back to the Duchess's Manor, which lies abandoned and, thanks to Paul, cleared of booby traps, or at least in a path that can be accessed. The party looked the manor up and down, and while it certainly was the site of a bloody battle years ago, it lies empty for now, beyond yourselves, of course. Ivaebhins, along with you all and the and Paul with his mount and Igor sit in the living room on the bottom floor. Asari and Greylog have healed and awoken Ivaebhins' mother with intent to question her. A powerful but unfortunately ineffective attempt to intimidate her, as she now lies conscious and able to be questioned. Flower and Fall. You know that as you had been accompanying Paul and Ivaebhins for their investigation of the manor, this manor was the site of a gory battle years ago, although the details of which are unknown to you. The only signs of the conflict beyond bloodstains that you found are that Ivaebhins' friend you all discovered some arrows and strange metal cylinders lying around, but that was the only sign of the previous conflict. Do you wish to join Paul and Ivaebhins downstairs with Igor, or join Asari and Greylog in the master bedroom with Ivaebhins' mother, or do you have your own plans in mind? All right, we'll come back to you. Oh, go ahead.
I guess we'll go with Paul.
All right. And Ivaebhins, if I recall, you and you all were going to head to the library to have some time to yourselves. Do you still wish to do that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what Ivaebhins wishes to do. I don't know if that's what he wishes to do.
Yeah, it had partially been you all's suggestion. So, all right. Flower and Fall, you see Ivaebhins and his friend from Sherwood head out of the living room and start heading upstairs towards the library, leaving you and Paul with his mount, the unconscious Igor, and the remaining prisoners from the Claw sitting in the living room, a little uncomfortable, but not worse for wear. As the two of you, the two remaining who had originally started it all, is there anything you wish to do while you're here in the living room?
Interesting. Paul will make sure he gets the octopus man off of the mount.
Okay.
And just kind of set him down, like I guess a corner or somewhere, or somewhere he can just kind of put him on his back, or like put him against the wall or something.
Okay. Paul, again, he's heavier than he looks, but you hoist Igor off of your elk and drag him to the corner of the living room and prop him up against the corner as his metallic arms drag on the wood floor behind him.
All right. once Paul does that, he'll just kind of like find a place to sit down. He'll just rest there for a bit.
All right. Flower and Fall, anything you'd like to do in the interim? We'll come back to you. All right. Flower, Fall, and Paul catching their breath and getting their bearings in the living room. Ivaebhins heading up to the library with you all. The prisoners in the living room as well. Asari and Greylog, the two of you have the floor, or the house to some degree, as you heal and awaken Ivaebhins' mother. And when we last left you guys off, Asari, you had attempted to intimidate her along with Greylog. However, she holds firm for now. With that said, you both said that you had some questions you'd like to ask her, some interrogation you'd like to do. Why don't we start there?
Well, we know that you all have the pistol, and we want it. But I doubt you will just give it to us. So, honestly, what did you think you were going to accomplish with working with the Boomer Gangers?
She kind of rolls her eyes and, you want the pistol. What do you want, a medal?
I mean, if that metal is the pistol, then sure.
I know, right? But then again, you've already pissed off your goddess already. Otherwise, she would have answered your prayer. So obviously, she does not agree with you working with the Boomer Gangers.
I'm aware. We only worked with them because our interests aligned. Our goals are the same. At least, they end up in the same place.
But what are their goals, really? How far are they willing to trust you if you're willing to just abandon your own goddess for a temporary goal?
We weren't abandoning her. She kind of lolls her head somewhat despondently and looks up to the two of you. What we could have accomplished with the Boomergangers would have been in her ladyship's interest. I understand now that
You're sure of that?
I was. Now, who knows? Who cares?
I do.
Yeah, I got that.
But since you're so willing to, how to phrase this? Negotiate? Since you were willing to negotiate with them, what could we offer for your loyalty?
She smirks and looks the two of you up and down, and you'll have to offer me something of equal or greater value to what the Boomergangers were offering us.
Well, we already beat their little group that they had with them.
Congratulations.
What they were
I'm
offering.
just saying that their mechanicals aren't as strong as you say. So what do you want?
We want what they're offering. A world for my people.
So you want to be able to go above ground? Like, what does a world for your people look like to you?
A world where this, and she kind of tugs at the ropes binding her, doesn't happen. A world where we make all the rules, and you know your place and follow.
And that just seems to be doing you so well at the time, doesn't it? Have you tried reconsidering the ideas?
Have you?
Oh, been there, done that.
And yet here you are.
And here you are.
This is
Oh,
getting
how
us
the
nowhere.
roles have reversed.
You...
Just tell us where the pistol is, and you can go.
I will say, Greylog, do you mean that sincerely?
He does. Like, if she gives him what he wants, he'll let her go.
She kind of raises an eyebrow and looks to you, Asari. And you're okay with this?
Just kind of gives a big shrug, like you said before. Let the mistress do what she thinks she does. You deserve.
She
You
turns her
leave here.
gaze.
Whatever happens, happens.
She doesn't emote, but glances back to you, Greylog. And what becomes of the boy? I think Ivaebhins, what he goes by now.
The boy is no longer any of your concern since you were so willing to throw him away.
Oh, I'm afraid he's very much my concern.
Not from what I've gotten. He wants nothing to do with you. I cannot
Like
speak for
most
him.
men, you have no idea what you're talking about.
I can assure you, he has nothing that he wants from you, except for maybe your death.
Oh, there's something that I very much need from him.
Well, you're not really in a position to be asking, are you?
Maybe not, but
But
it was a
how
simple
about this?
question.
As far as Ivaebhins goes, I will give him the choice of what he wants to do, like if he wants to go with you or not. You can speak your piece to him,
Oh,
and if he decides
please.
to go with you, that's up to him.
I have nothing to say to that disappointment of a tireling.
Well then, no Ivaebhins.
I don't
If
need
you
to
can't even be
see...
respectful.
I don't need to see him. I just need to know what's going to happen to him. If he intends to stay in this city, then that's not going to happen unless one of us dies.
Oh,
I don't think he's going to want to stay here. Do you really think that he would want to stay here? Really? Think about it. You're smarter than that.
She smirks and... Yeah, but... people see things, and people talk. If word gets out that I have a son, and a disobedient one at that...
So it's your fucking ego that you're really caring about, not him. It's just real charming.
I have no reason to care about him. He's been a disappointment since the day he was born.
well, let me put your mind at rest. He'll be going with us, his newer family than you. And you won't have to, and he'll be up above ground, away from you. So no worries.
And the surface villagers, Sherwood?
What about them?
Amanda, you're gonna have to use Jared's mic. Yours is unstable at the moment.
Sorry.
I said, what do you care?
She gives a smirk again, and like I said, people talk. Until just recently, my power in this city was completely unquestioned.
Let me tell you something that I have learned a very, very long time. You say people talk, well, people do very little less. So no matter what you do, what you think you can do, people are going to talk if you like it or not.
Sure. She leans forward. My question is simply, how many am I going to have to kill to ensure that my reputation in the city stays as I've built it? I've worked for over 100 years to build my power base, and I'm not going to let a disobedient little brat like him take it away from me.
Well, we will take the Sherwood elves that you had imprisoned with us. None of them will stay back. None of them will stay here. So no one will know about your loss. So your power will remain intact.
She kind of leans back and lolls her head and kind of shakes it side to side, seeming kind of frustrated. And what happens whenever rumors start to spread that my own flesh and blood fled to the surface to live among sunbloods and live to tell about it?
Well, you can punish them as you see fit, because all it is rumor. I mean, you can't stop people from making rumor. I mean, it's just a part of how life is.
Or claim he's not your son.
You can say you're dead for all you know.
Like you already did. It's just an upstart trying to make a bad reputation for you. One of your enemies, perhaps.
Against that, really.
She considers for a moment and leans forward. Do any of you have any intention of returning to this land after you get what you want from the city?
Under him, not that.
Never.
She considers for a moment, and Greylog, make a persuasion check. I'll give you advantage since Asari was helping you.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'd be shocked.
Beyond.
Okay, so that is a dirty 20 on the second one and 6 on the first.
She, looking to you, Greylog, doesn't seem particularly convinced, but you can see she looks to Asari, who she, for obvious reasons, seems to respect a bit more. And after staring at you for a long moment, Asari, she finally speaks, but looking at you, although she's not making any attempt to exclude Greylog from this, and more just looking at you, as if looking at you makes the conversation to her feel more dignified.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She kind of bites at her lip, considering for a while, and you can see her kind of weighing her options, considering what the two of you have said, before the pistol's hidden away in a cavern in the eastern part of the city, out in the Dumya mode. You'll need the mark of a priestess to open up the cavern, otherwise it just looks like a dead end. The Boomagangers have no idea where it is, and we have no intention of sharing it with them. Only I and the other ruling council know about it.
Question, DM. Since I was reading literally last night the book, the Arachne's book, would I know what the symbol is that I need?
Yeah, I'll say, given that you've seen it as well, you do remember that Peppa herself was carrying a spider medallion, which was one of the items Greylog took off of her before tying her up.
Okay, cool. All right. Cool. I'll just kind of give Greylog a side eye and a little raised eyebrow, so maybe like you can read my expression.
Oh, you made a symbol like this, holding up her medallion.
Good to face palm.
It's not good at insight.
Her expression kind of flattens, but she kind of rolls her head back again, and if her ladyship blesses it, then yes, that'll suffice.
I shake my head. Put that away.
Either way, we now have a rough location of it.
All right, I'm tired. Now, if you really value your life, I would really wait for us to leave entirely, because that boy out there will probably kill you.
She seems a little...
And just letting you know, like I said, you're out of our hands now. But so if you leave here, I'm not going to, intervene with whatever happens. I'm, giving you a fair warning.
She kind of rolls her eyes a bit and kind of pulls at the ropes. Fine, untie me.
Yep.
I'll untie her, but I'm gonna keep the stuff that I took off of her as a precaution,
Fair.
As a precaution, quote unquote. Like, nah, you're just stealing it from her.
She,
Say it like it is.
as soon as she's cut free, kind of rubs at her wrists and arms before moving over to the bed and kind of crossing her legs as she attempts to sit as dignifiedly as she can, although she does scowl at you, Greylog, as you take her things off the bed and stow them away. And fine. Once your business is concluded, I will return to my people and see about repairing the damage you've all left in your wake.
Of course. And as soon as we're done with retrieving the pistol, we will leave this area, and hopefully we'll never cross paths again.
She considers for a moment before, and tell the boy that if he should show his face in this city again, or show me the kind of disrespect he showed me back at the prison, this time I will kill him.
I'll be sure to pass on your message.
Is nobody going to say, yeah, how did that work out for you?
Yeah, no, sorry, was like literally just about to cross her arms and just kind of look at her like, absolutely out of her mind.
But notice you did say that was a very sarcastic tone.
Yeah, but she's still going to voice her opinion.
You don't even know you didn't even see the situation that much.
No, I know, but that's her fucking opinion, She's like, you're out of your fucking mind.
Did she even land a hit on Ivaebhins?
No, although to be fair, she didn't attack.
Ivaebhins didn't land hits on her.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go. What I'm gonna do, DM, is I'm gonna make sure that Ivaebhins is preoccupied, and then I will help her out of the house, move on with her sad life.
Like,
all right.
Is there a window in this room?
Yes, there is a window overlooking the garden.
don't give her less of a dignity than she already has.
But nobody can see her if you
If
let her out the window.
been to go get occupied.
Jumping out of the
We
window.
don't
His little
just let her
boyfriend
walk
is
out
on
where she could go tell somebody where we are.
She, Asari and Greylock, as the two of you start arguing, she holds up a hand, and there's no sense arguing about it. Much as I hate to admit it, I've never been one for the arcane, and I know that the Duchess kept this place well trapped, and most of them, she kind of peers out the window and looks around at the garden. Well, less than half of them now from the looks of it, should still be active. I'm not going to take my chances walking out that way. More than likely, I'd be dead before I even made it to the ground.
One hit, she's gone.
Fair enough.
Like I said, I'll do the work. You don't have to even bat a pretty eyelash, and it kind of utters.
All right. Asari, the first part is easy enough to do. You catch Ivaebhins already on the way up to the library with you all, and the two of them seem pretty content to keep to themselves and not be disturbed.
I will pass on the information about the whereabouts of the pistol to Ivaebhins.
All right.
The
Ivaebhins,
only
as you're...
information about that conversation you give?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so, yeah, Asari passes on to you, Ivaebhins, as you're heading up to the library with you all, that your
I'm
mother...
honestly disappointed. I kind of hoped she'd be a little more resistant.
She is. Honestly, I pity her.
I guess it's only fitting that someone from where you are from would actually like somebody like that.
I never said I liked her. You completely misunderstood what I said. What I said was I pitied her. Pity and liking are two different things.
Even
I never
that's
said that.
too much.
You can pity somebody and hate them, you know.
How do you hate somebody that you have pity for? Well, the fact that you hate them, doesn't that mean you wouldn't care if they fell off a cliff?
Not necessarily. There's an array of emotions that can wash over someone. And, you know, pity just is one of them that I feel for her. I mean, she's a mom. My mom would never act like that. Loving and caring, and she just doesn't have any of that for you, and I pity her for it.
An
She's
understatement. You know
well,
what?
but the thing,
You know what kind of threats that mothers give to their sons down here?
I've been doing a little. Okay, DM, do I know enough, like culturally, to really understand the situation?
Make a history check.
Okay, cool. I will do that. Question. 16.
While you're not intimately familiar with the cultural practices of Ostiliant, you are at least vaguely familiar with the practices of Dark Elves in general, and you know that those who show extreme religious fervor for Arachne, of which Ostiliant definitely seems to be in that category, and judging from just context of Ivaebhins' tone and just what you can piece together logically, more than likely what Ivaebhins referring to is that you've heard that in religious theocracy areas of Dark Elf rule, sons who are disobedient and do not stay in line are typically threatened with castration. Although in quote-unquote lesser scenarios, they will still have the threat of losing fingers or toes.
So Asari will say, I only know what I can read. Experiencing it is a whole different thing that I will never experience because I am not a dark elf. Oh. However, I'm not making excuses, though. I just think that it's sad that she is missing one of the greatest things of motherhood, which is love. And she kind of shrugs.
Just keep in mind that she chose of her own volition to leave her own son to be devoured by wolves.
I understand.
Next time you pity her.
Well, the pity is not just for her. And she just kind of like looks at him intently.
And I don't
Right.
need that anymore either.
What you need and what you're gonna get is two different things.
That's what I
Maybe
saw. He's
just
trying to get him to go kill her.
Ivaebhins
No.
just walks away.
All right.
I kind of shrug and I go back to the other room and escort her out.
All right. Paul, Flower and Fall in the living room. After a moment, you hear, about a few minutes after Ivaebhins heads upstairs with you all, you hear a set of footsteps coming down and see Ivaebhins' mother, still in one piece, albeit wounded, being walked out towards the front door down the hall by Asari.
Mm-hmm. Paul
In
will,
Greylog, he would have went with her.
All right. You see Asari and Greylog flanking the High Priestess as they walk her to the front door.
We know where the pistol is.
cool. That'll be
Now,
useful.
should we go ahead and go get it?
No, I need to rest.
Yes,
Yes,
rest would
but
be better.
no offense, I don't trust the High Priestess to not move it before we get a chance.
I
She-
honestly don't think
Yeah, why would they
that
move it?
she is going to do that. Mostly because why would she do that?
Well,
And
Moving
more
it
the
must.
point, I can't. You took my medallion.
and
Yeah,
even
we
then,
also have that.
that would cause a commotion if she moved it, which would most likely give us a hint on where it is now.
At this point, I just want to return to my compound and figure out whether it's something wrong with me or... And she looks upstairs to where you expect she knows Ivaebhins to be.
Yeah.
She turns to Paul and Flower and Fall and more pointedly towards Flower and Fall gives a bow before
Paul,
kind of pulling away from the two of you.
Paul will bow
And
as well.
all right. At this, she actually seems a little surprised, and after a bit of consideration, returns it and throws open the doors of the manor and starts making her way down the steps,
Through
across
the
the
trench.
garden, across the garden, through the trench, and out into the city towards her home. As the doors are shut, you're left in the manor, one enemy less, as she presumably, if she was being honest, returns to her home.
Also, didn't Ivaebhins already take the bow from what's his face?
Yeah, the compound bow.
Okay.
With that, is there anything just really anyone would like to do while they're down here?
With Paul's permission, Greylog would like to study the
Bodyguard.
dude with all the mechanical parts.
All right.
Not hurt him, just study him.
If you ask him, he'll simply, as long as you don't hurt him, I have no problem.
Now, what do we do when he wakes up? If he wakes up.
If he wakes up, I mean,
What,
should
is
be
he
fine.
stable? Like, is he still breathing?
From what I remember, Flower and Fall is the one who knocked them out. Unless they got hurt in the travels, I guess Paul will kind of like hearing this will kind of give him a little bit of an inspection.
All right. Go ahead and roll medicine.
So, by the way, something that'll be important for Ivaebhins' bit.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and get that resolved while they're rolling.
I got a 19.
And I was going to ask if I could help him, but I think a 19 will be plenty.
Yeah. Although I guess if you want, Austin, go ahead and roll with advantage. See if you maybe get a crit.
I rolled a 3, so 5.
Greylog, you're not really sure. A lot of the mechanics are a little foreign to you to begin with. But Paul, being a little more familiar with this sort of thing, mostly just focusing on what organic parts there are to study, he does appear to be breathing. You do not feel any serious blood loss, as most of his wounds were induced by burns rather than anything that would cause serious bleeding. So from the looks of it, he should be okay. He's breathing and alive, just unconscious and presumably going to be in extreme pain if he wakes up.
Yeah, yes, he does seem to be okay. Little on the, I guess you could say, crispy side, but hopefully that won't be too big of an issue.
Would you be okay if I tried to use my tinker's tools to remove those metallic arms of his? I saw what they did to you, and that could be disastrous for the rest of us.
Well, same rules applies, but same would apply to you examining him. As long as you don't hurt him, I don't care. But I don't think he really cares about you. He seemed way more interested in more, I guess you would say, the original 3.
That's fair. And at this point, I would take out my tinker tools to remove the metal arms if I can, and to study how he's put together metallically.
Okay. So for the former, are you proficient in tinker tools?
I am.
All right, so make me a tinker tools check. This is going to be intelligence plus proficiency. So go ahead and roll that first, since you want to try and do that before studying his mechanics in general.
Okay, so that is the plus proficiency.
Yeah, intelligence plus proficiency.
Okay, that's a 21.
Okay. Looking over the mechanical arms, you kind of weighing them in your hands. They are incredibly heavy. Even just one of them takes both of your arms to lift, and it's really dense. You start breaking your tinker's tools to it, and you find that the metal of the arms is very, very tough, and your tools are struggling to get through it. I will say, from a cursory examination, while determining if you even can sever them, if you were to just try and cut them down the middle, essentially, you feel like you probably could with enough time and effort, but there is a chance that you could injure yourself, as you do not know how these work, what the internals are like. You did see them surging with electricity during the battle, so I will say you think you might be able to sever them if you cut them, but you're not positive you can do that without hurting yourself, as you don't know how these are made, and the metal itself is so tough that you can't really be careful because of just how much physical effort it's going to take to cut these. And as you trace the tentacles down to where they connect to his back, and you don't even have to lift up his shirt, as most of the fabric of his cloak has been burned away, you see that the arms actually appear to be grafted directly to his spine. You can see them stitched under the skin and connecting to his spine. So pulling them out at the base is not really an option unless you want to rip this dude's skeleton out. So basically, you can't rip them out of him. You can try and cut them, but that you risk injuring yourself.
So he will bring this up to Paul and be like, I want to attempt to cut them. If it should backfire and like cause me to go unconscious, would you be willing to help me?
I mean, yes, I can. I can make sure that you're stable enough. Magic or my magic is running a bit low, but I can still manage at least a stabilization.
That's all I ask. And he will set to work.
Okay. So you're going to try and cut them off even at risk of injury?
That is correct.
Okay, make me another Tinker Tools check.
That is a dirty 20.
Sorry, I had to pull up the relevant things.
Well, that's a little worrisome. Automatic death for your character.
Well, it's because I'm like managing like 5 different things here.
Automatic death, and you're screwed.
Paul, as you and the twins sit on the couch or floor, whichever your preference is, you watch as Greylog pulling Igor away from the corner now to have a bit easier access to their mechanical arms. Greylog, you start to hack at the, more physically hacking than digitally, at the mechanical arms on Igor's back. Severing them essentially a foot or 2 away from his spine, so that you don't risk like crippling him, but not leaving him enough room to actually do much useful with them. And this process, you can tell as you start cutting through the first one, is going to take you a while. So we're going to come back to you, but I will say you have started on the process of cutting off his mechanical arms.
Okay.
Real quick, Asari, before we cut to Ivaebhins, is there anything you'd like to do? You can see Paul and Flower and Fall just sitting and watching idly as Greylog hacks away at Igor's arms. Is there anything you'd like to do in the meantime?
No, I'll kind of hang out in the doorway and idly watch, make sure he doesn't do something stupid.
All right.
Yeah, that's too late there.
Yeah.
All right. Asara, you take another passing glance at the city streets where Ivaebhins' mother disappeared before shutting the door and leaning on the doorway to watch as Greylog basically just essentially using a saw like you would to amputate a Civil War soldier's leg, starts hacking away at Igor's mechanical arms. Ivaebhins. As your conversation with Asari concludes, and as far as you know, she just returns to the bedroom to continue questioning your mother, you enter the library and shut the door behind you. And already you all kind of...
How thin are these walls?
They do seem pretty on the thick side. You can see that they're dented in a few places, although again the library itself seems to have mostly been spared.
The others would hear Ivaebhins if he yelled something.
I would say you'd basically be having to scream it, but you could essentially yell something at an above. At most, they would be able to hear that you are yelling, but they wouldn't be able to make out the specifics of what you're saying, especially over the sound of Greylog hacking away at metal.
Fair enough. Yeah, because when Ivaebhins in the room, he's going to yell a word in Elvish.
All right, yeah. Basically, you just start swearing up and down in Elvish.
And he just punches the bookshelf or something. And is like, why did she have to remind me of that? Ah! I didn't want to remember her. I was hoping to just ignore her and not have to think about it.
You all kind of looks a little off-put, but after a bit of consideration, speaks up, and you know that you can't just ignore it forever. If you could, then
surprised.
If you could ignore it, we wouldn't be here.
Down here, I will be happy to never see this place again.
He kind of gives a nervous smile, and that's fair. You all kind of hugging at his arm, seems a little hesitant, and looking around at the slightly burned bookshelves and books themselves, and I'm not gonna say that you should feel any particular way, but he hesitates for a moment before. Well, I mean, you are right. Once we're done here, you don't have to come back. Really, you don't even have to come back to the village if you don't want to. If it's too close to the mountain,
I'll still come back there. You know that. I mean, I told you the whole reason why I was leaving in the first place, right?
Yeah, but, well, it's a big world out there. You could always find somewhere that is better for you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You know that the village is a harsh place for you, and among your own kind, you don't do much better. But I've heard that there's places where dark elves can live, and just...
Why would I do that? Why would I leave you? And Ollie and everyone else who I'm on good terms with.
Well, I can't speak for anyone, but nothing's actually stopping us from leaving either. I've always thought about it. I've always wondered what the rest of the world was like. Honestly, I was kind of jealous whenever you left. It was easier for you. You didn't... Well, maybe it's kind of a dick thing for me to say, but I don't know. Just feels like you didn't have anything to worry about leaving behind.
You always forget yourself, apparently.
Well, there's other me's out there. Not literally. Well, as far as I know, anyway. But, I mean...
But none of them that I know like I know you.
Dark elf or not, you're still an elf. You have time. But... if you do
want to see some other places, There's usually a lot of downtime once we find these things and bring them back to the door. I could show you where it is.
At this you do see him kind of consider for a moment.
There would be plenty of time for you to see it and go back before I gotta head off. I almost thought about asking if you wanted to come with me, but you know, you're not really. I saw how you did in that situation.
Eh, I've never been much of a fighter. Ollie would have been a lot more useful down here.
Yeah, part of me's kicking myself for not seeing her, but she apparently had broken her leg.
Yeah, that was
What's the name for the Spriggan again?
Orog.
Apparently Orog got a little carried away again.
What else is new? I heard about that. He kind of, after looking around for a moment, seems to relax a bit and sits on one of the slightly burnt couches. And I'll be honest, once you told me a little bit about what you guys were doing, I thought about it, but with you gone, I guess somebody needs to look after the place. And
there'd be plenty of time for you to see it in return.
He bites his lip, and I'll think about it. I would like to see it, but just want to try and get home first. Don't want to get home after.
I'd imagine we'll spend at least a little bit of time resting in Sherwood before we return with the item. At the very least, there'd be more than enough time for me to do so, and just have them send the ship we came on whenever they're ready.
He gives a nod, and yeah. So I'll put some thought into it, Ivae. Just after being in that cage for so long, I just want to stretch my legs for a little bit.
Well, we got plenty of space to do that here.
Yeah.
I did miss you a lot.
I missed you too. He pulls the rotten fruit from his
It's not giving up on that thing. How do you even know that the seeds will even be plantable?
Oh, it's not about planting it. Like I said, I wanted to give it to you once I saw you to, give you something to maybe.
I hope you didn't go and pick that fruit.
Yeah, where else would I have gotten it?
You do know how the others are about that kind of stuff.
Well, it's an Underdark fruit. It's an exception.
Is it, though?
Well, I mean, he's kind of smiles a little guiltily and kind of starts tossing it between his hands, and
Does
Raven
know that he was never one for the rules?
Actually, from your recollection, he actually was kind of a stickler for them. His father was a politician, after all.
I can't believe you actually broke a rule.
I mean, he kind of seems a little indignant, and after a bit, he kind of looks away from you and, look, don't laugh. And I know that's probably mean to say, especially with everything that's happened, but I mean, and he kind of looks at the fruit, and any meat I found down here would have rotten by the time I found you. And, well, I thought maybe it wouldn't be that big a deal since, anything that comes out of the Underdark is bad. So maybe picking an Underdark plant wouldn't be a big deal.
Reminds me of, did I ever tell you the story of how I managed to make it from the mountain to here whenever I was left there?
I remember your parents talked about it. By the time you got to the village, you were so sick from eating those poison berries that you got in the doorway and then threw up all over the couch.
Yeah. I feel like it sounds like most of the people who didn't already immediately write me off. Seemed to consider it a bit of an exception because I didn't really know the rules then.
Yeah. It's like I always told you. They were just going to look for a reason. They don't need anything special. Even if you didn't give them one, they would figure something out. I mean, any gestures to the walls of the library. I'm only down here in the first place because the moment anything even indirectly connected to Dark Elves happened, you immediately got the finger pointed at you, even though we hadn't seen you in months.
Honestly, I've just gotten used to it.
Well, you shouldn't have to. You may not see eye to eye with them all the time, but I'm at least glad you've found some people who you can see eye to eye with. I know that Ollie and I were always there, but we're not as strong as people like this are, and can't keep up with the adventures you want to go on. And Orog and V were always kind of difficult to deal with, so it's nice that you found people who can keep up with you without, being a pain in the asses.
Sometimes. You should have seen the disaster that was us trying to get into the forest. I told them everything to look out for, and what did they immediately do? They immediately found the thing I was telling them to look out for, and nearly got us killed.
He kind of smiles a little bit, and
Don't even get me started on the fiasco that was our encounter with Grendel.
Wow, you actually got to see him.
Unfortunately. He doesn't like loud booms, I learned.
And yet, after all that, from the sounds of it, you plan to keep traveling with them, is that right?
They have their uses, and though I'm not so sure about this door anymore. I'm sure you've heard the stories about the other thing that could be behind there.
Ah, so it's that door then. Whenever you guys started talking about doors and keys, I thought that might have been it, but
I've been debating on if we should mention it to them. Because they seem quite dead set on this treasure being there, but...
He kind of leans forward, putting his elbows on his knees, and looks down at the fruit and considers for a long moment. I think you should. I know you might not think the world of him or anything, but I mean, being blunt, what's the alternative? If the door's real and the keys are real, then it's possible the curse is too. But if you don't tell them, what? You just string them along thinking that there's some kind of treasure on the other side and what? Kill them before they can open it? Steal all the keys and run?
Well, I was hoping to maybe learn a little bit more about it before I said anything.
Well,
because after all, the only things that we know about it is it's a door, and it needs keys, and it's the keys that gods own, which is a risk in of itself.
Yeah. Well, the Elder knows more about it than anyone. Supposedly they were alive when it was first created and opened.
Who's the
but
Elder again?
The Elder for sure would. I have this written down. Hold on. You've never met them in person, but as they typically live in the capital. But the Elder for the Wood Elves is Brachiom Ajnaki.
Do you honestly think someone in the capital would actually hear out a dark elf?
Well, he pauses for a moment and maybe not, but maybe I can convince my father to at least try and get some information out of them. And worst case scenario, they may not listen to you, but they might listen to your friends.
Maybe.
All I know
It
about
would be
it,
important to learn more about this. If this is a curse, then honestly, we probably still should seek the keys to make sure that the boomergangers don't get them, but maybe not put the last one in the door.
maybe.
Just hold them until the boomergangers are dealt with.
He gives a nod and leans forward. Speaking of, I'll admit that's something I haven't been quite able to figure out. Whenever octopus guy Igor was asking me questions about you and the keys, I managed to figure out a few things and put that together with what I overheard while you guys were busting me out. You can see that he's kind of choosing his words carefully before kind of sighing, and I know you don't want to talk about her, but this is important.
Mm-hmm.
Your mother's a lot of things, Ave, but from what I can tell, she's not stupid. If the stories of the curse are real, she should know about them better than anyone. And she still thinks it's beneficial to her to open it. So my question is, does she know something we don't, or do the boomer gangers know something we don't?
It's possible.
I mean,
Don't get me wrong, I'd certainly love it to be a treasure beyond my wildest dreams. Maybe if I can use that money to deal with our border issues, maybe people will actually respect me around here.
and, well, if it is a curse, maybe try to get it to hit a few people, just, certain people around the village, and, Ivaebhins, the great and terrible.
Yeah, and you'll get strung up you'll probably get strung up for having associated with me.
Oh no, I'll be your right hand man. I'll be like your evil little henchman.
I'd like to think it'd be a little bit more than that.
At this, you can see him kind of raise an eyebrow and lean forward. And are you in the market for an evil king consort?
Oh Lord, here he goes.
What? I'm nothing if not pragmatic. If you are going to open the door and end the world, I at least want to make sure I'm on the right side.
How about we just worry about that bridge whenever we come to it?
All right. Once we get back to the surface, I'll pull some strings, see if I can't convince the elder to pay us a visit. From what I heard, he was actually already planning to see what was going on with the boomer gangers anyway, so if we're lucky, he'll already be there by the time we return.
Just looking at the Bowie have you ever seen anything like this?
No. Reminds me of some of the stuff I've seen made in the capital, but it doesn't look like glass.
Yeah, it's weird.
Well, give it a try.
I'm probably gonna be giving this thing a look over whenever we go down to rest.
Good call. I suppose I should probably figure out how to use some of this stuff too. I'm not much of a fighter, but just in case.
Does Ivaebhins remember like what you all aspired to as he grew up?
For the most part, he seemed content to just inherit his father's position someday. Given that elves being as long-lived as they are, it's usually not practical to just assume you're going to inherit your family's position. But because elves are so communal in general, it's usually considered acceptable to just basically learn under your parent potentially indefinitely and then just succeed their position if they are killed at some point. From what you know, he was basically in training to be the new lord of the village, but it's basically theoretically possible he would never take the position, but just be in training indefinitely.
Very interesting. I feel like that'd be a very questionable.
Well, it's because elves are very. It's mentioned in the setting that elves are.
I know they have insanely long. I'm just thinking like if
has there ever been a case of an elf dying of old age?
No.
But I'm just thinking like if the apprentice, if the basically apprentice that's indefinitely has a child, is there an apprentice of an apprentice?
Actually, yes, that is possible. And even then, bear in mind, it is possible for the apprentice to branch out and just do their own thing. It's just that basically you can't, basically in an elf society, you can't be an apprentice, wait for your master to die, and then take that opportunity to inherit the title, because unless they get sick or killed, that's never going to happen.
Cough, cough. Look at Lucian, for example.
I mean, look at Gil. Gil's twice as old as Lucian is and still going.
It's true.
Um,
Like the whole elf, apprentice thing.
And it's like, do elves even like need heirs?
Yes, but because bear in mind, they can still be killed in battle or just get sick and die.
Fair.
I know
I guess
Matt.
let's just say it's an insurance policy for them.
Basically, yeah.
I know Matt's settings. Yeah, I think you mentioned they live
For humans, it's a legacy. For elves, it's an insurance policy.
Normally, they just live for like thousands of years.
Yeah, but in a lot of fictional settings, they tend to just basically live forever. So I figured that was more interesting. But yeah, so yeah, it's basically, and because elves are much more communal oriented than most species, they don't have a problem with basically supporting their children indefinitely, because elves again are very communal and family oriented, so that doesn't bother them.
Unless they're dark elves.
Well, even dark elves, bear in mind, they treat their sons like ass, but their daughters get that treatment.
Yeah, they only treat half their family.
Yeah. Because this didn't get mentioned, but it's actually kind of unusual for your mother that she inherited her position, essentially the way that she did, since, again, typically the mother would have to be killed in battle or get sick or abdicate.
The other thing is, like, an elf could just get tired of whatever job they're doing and just decide, fuck it, I'm gonna go off and do something else.
Yeah, exactly. So basically it works in practice better than you'd expect. Anyway, so yeah, from what you know, like, he basically was like, at least, I mean, basically until this conversation, you thought he was perfectly content to just like train under his father and then potentially succeed him as Lord of the Village one day, or just potentially branch off and do his own thing later. But from what he's telling you now, it seems like he has always kind of had a thirst to leave the village someday and see the world. With that, good.
I was thinking, there are people involved in our quest who aren't in the fighting all the time. Like the professor, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm sure there may come a time in the future where we may need someone who knows how to talk to people.
Like I said, I'll give it some thought. I
mean, if you want, you can stay here, and then if you ever have the need, I can always just see if you want to help.
Yeah, if I don't have the nerve to leave just yet, then definitely. I want Sherwood to be the first place you come to if you need help. I don't know what the rest of this adventure is going to look like for you, but I at least want you to know that you always have somewhere to go back to, no matter what.
Always. Alright, I think that's probably good for now. We can let other people do their things.
Alright.
Don't you think, Matthew?
Yeah, of course. Alright.
Have we been streaming, by the way?
Yes, we have.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure because I never got the messages.
Yeah, they popped up in Discord.
Mm-hmm. Alright. Flowerfall, Paul, Greylog.
Oh,
sorry. What's that?
Just got music.
Mm-hmm. The four of you, along with the prisoners and Paul's mount, sit idly in the living room. The process of Greylog sawing off these mechanical limbs takes hours. It's loud. It's physically draining. Because to basically put into perspective, Greylog, what you're doing, you're basically using medieval tinkering equipment to saw through what is essentially a solid bars of plasticine and tungsten.
If this is taking hours, Paul will probably try to take a long rest, assuming that we'd like to be well rested.
All right. Paul, while it's a bit difficult with all the noise, you do eventually just lay back against the wall and start to slowly drift off.
I did have something for Ivaebhins before they long rested, though. I just want to note.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll come back to you. Again, it's going to take hours, but not like full long rest time. But Greylog, after several hours have passed, you do eventually manage to sever the last of the mechanical arms. Again, leaving each of them with about 2 feet of mechanical wiring and tubing still connected to their back, but the length of them and the claw tips are left in a pile across the room as you deposit the last one into the loose pile of tentacles.
Now that that's done, I don't know about y'all, but I'm tired. And he's just gonna collapse on a couch somewhere and pass out.
Carry him to bed.
All right.
I'll
Flower
carry
fall?
him bridal style.
All right. Do you guys just want to sleep in here or head up to the master bedroom?
We're gonna head to the master bedroom.
Ooh.
Right. Flower and Fall. Paul is taking a nap in the corner. Greylog has severed Igor's mechanical arms. Greylog and Asari are heading up to the bedroom, and you haven't seen Ivaebhins in a few hours. What would you like to do?
Everyone seems tired. So we'll go talk to Ivaebhins.
Okay. In that case, we will come back to you in just a moment. Ivaebhins, you said you had something before the party goes down for rest?
Well, I was going to have Ivaebhins basically... I think he has, like, a bedroll, right?
You should, yes. Yeah, because you got your belongings back from the prison, and double checking your equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you have a bedroll.
Alright. I'm just gonna ask, should we just set up in here to rest?
Yeah, it's fine with me, as long as I can finally stretch my legs out.
I unfortunately only have one bedroll, but I doubt that's of concern to you.
The practical side of me wants to point out that there's a lot of very comfy chairs and couches in this mansion.
Yeah, but sleeping, or I guess technically it's meditate. Do they still, what do they call it?
It's meditating.
Yeah, but meditating sitting up is not that comfortable.
He kind of rolls his eyes with a smirk, and hops off of the couch. And all right. You never could.
Trust me, it's a good bedroll.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with the fact that you could never stand to meditate by yourself.
I've never heard you complain until now.
You still haven't.
Are you tired that you want to just go straight into meditating, or maybe catch up, if you know what I mean?
He kind of rolls his eyes a little bit, and I've missed you a lot, Ave, but let's get to where I can see the sun before we.
You're no fun. Oh well. Yeah, I am quite exhausted. I do have to admit.
Yeah, and I'd like to get some feeling back in my legs. I'll probably explore the mansion for a little bit before coming back. Maybe take some time to figure out how to use that new bow you got in the meantime. I'll say, Flower and Fall, do you want to, like, knock on the library door or just call out for Ivaebhins?
I mean, it's a library, so, like...
Go right in. Just like, hey.
Feel the need to knock.
Alright.
You can see if they've been setting up his bedroll in there.
Yeah, and you all seems like they were in the middle of walking towards the door and got kind of startled whenever it got thrown open before they saw Flower and Fall, and they kind of smile a bit and, oh, it's you two.
I think they actually won.
That is true.
He looks kind of confused for a second before, oh, a twin mind. Never gotten to see one in person before. I'm sorry, is that weird?
No.
I'll admit, whenever I heard the stories, I always wished I could do that. But I guess it probably has its disadvantages.
You just hear Ivaebhins, considering what he was talking about earlier, just think out loud, oh my god, if there was two of them.
Shut it. I'm guessing you probably don't need anything from me, so I'll be back in a few minutes. You two catch up on whatever you need to catch up on. I
mean, you don't need to leave.
Oh no, I actually want to. I actually want to look around the mansion a little bit. Don't worry, I'm not planning to leave. I'm not looking forward to getting arrested again.
You better not leave. I will find you again.
He kind of stares at you for a second before, oh no, I feel myself having the urge to leave the mansion. Woe is me. Oh no. And as he's doing this, he's like walking down the stairs and just kind of slowly raising his voice to echo up to you before going quiet.
Like, I do love him though. Not worth
Seems
it.
cool.
Ivaebhins, as you're setting up your bedroll, Flower and Fall hover there, and you can just get a glimpse of Asari bridle-carrying Greylog, who's like already passing out, up to the master bedroom before the doors shut under their own weight. And
all
Flower.
that noise out there, by the way, it sounded like somebody scraping. I don't even know what on, like, chalk.
There's... Huh?
Oh.
They were cutting off the tentacles off of the other guy.
Oh. How did that work out?
I mean, he didn't wake up. So it went fine.
I guess we'll just take everything from him while we're at it. I mean, I already took this, holding up the bow.
Well, someone tries to kill you enough times and you just stop caring, you know?
Yeah, it looks like y'all fucked him up.
In fairness, he would have died. But he didn't, so whatever.
No, I meant, like, to get all like he is. He's talking about, like, how he has all the robotics and shit on him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, he did that after he didn't die.
It's like you had some interesting friends before your current ones.
You say that, I guess. They were interesting.
Remind me not to meet them.
Well, you probably won't. And that's fine. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because how are you feeling?
Oh, For fuck's sake. This is like the third time in like an hour that in a few hours that somebody has tried to talk to me about this.
Oh, you don't have to say anything. I'm just seeing if you're okay.
I'm fine.
That's
Thank
good.
you for
That's
asking.
good. Yes. Get some meditation. Right,
Probably
that's
gonna
what
have
elves do.
Get that.
I mean, the reason I was confused because the way Matthew described it, it sounded like sleeping, just in a different form.
I mean, that is
kind of.
yeah, like for elves, that is the function it serves. The only difference is that it doesn't take as long, and you're not like unconscious of your surroundings while it's happening.
Yeah. But I'm probably going to have a look at this bow of whatever sort it is before I do that. Besides, I need to wait on that fool to come back.
True. You seem close. Good friends.
A little more.
Nice.
We were friends, and then, it was a little bit more.
Well, that's always nice.
One of the few friends I was able to make because of, looking down at himself.
Well, people just seem a bit mean. You don't seem that mean. Even if you can be a little snippy, but to be fair, people didn't listen, so...
That's what I tried to say. If they just would have listened, I wouldn't have gotten mad at them.
It can be hard when everyone has their own ideas. But that's fine. We are here. We're fine. And we'll be gone soon enough.
And I can't wait to get out of this place in the slightest.
Yeah, the dark is kind of... uncomfortable.
I more mean, for me, it's more the people who call the dark home.
True. They have been nothing but mean this whole time.
That is an understatement.
Well, I won't keep you. That's all I was here for.
Well, thanks for checking in, I guess.
What I do. Gotta make sure everyone's fit mind and body.
You sure do have a very positive outlook on things all the time.
Well, what else can you do?
I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. It's a bit of a philosophical debate on what you should do, but...
That's always a fair point. Well, I guess it's easy to say this is what I want to do.
Seems like something this group could use.
Yeah, a little fun and games. Everyone could use that sometimes.
And maybe a little bit more talking like this.
That's also true. Everyone just kind of, quietly mingles.
And just does their own things.
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll talk more later. I'll drag them if I have to.
You'll make them talk whether they want to or not.
Yeah.
Give them some real forceful words.
Like, speak or else.
Or else what?
I can't think of threats on the top of my head, so, I'll get back to you on that one.
Alright, you work on that.
Okay. as the two of you part, you all eventually returns, and
I guess while he was doing that, Ivaebhins will look over the bow to try and figure out what its deal is.
so as everyone gets cozied up for their long rest, a couple just housekeeping matters. Firstly, Paul, did you restrain Igor in any way before passing out?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, no plan to.
Okay.
That sounds like a mistake.
Probably, but you know, he didn't want to.
And Ivaebhins, through some practice, as you and you all get acquainted with your new equipment, you discover that this weapon is a +2 longbow.
Oh, wow. Let me manage inventory.
Yeah, you discover that this bow, despite being a lot lighter than the bows you're used to, fires its arrows with incredible strength. You actually find that it occasionally shatters projectiles you fire with it because, you know, the projectiles you're using are not made for it. And you did notice that Igor...
Any of the special arrows he had?
One more time, sorry?
Didn't I also grab some of his arrows he had?
Yes, I believe you had, yes. Yeah, you notice those ones seem like they're made for it, as they seem made out of the same odd, smooth metal material. So...
Can he identify anything special about those arrows? Or are they just fancier arrows?
Yeah, the arrows themselves, as far as you can tell, seem unremarkable beyond the fact that you notice that, again, they're made of a dense metal material, so they do not break on being fired from such a powerful bow. That's kind of an interesting side note. You also notice that they do not appear to use actual feathers for fletching. It appears to be this kind of artificial seeming fibrous material. You can't even begin to imagine what went into making this stuff, but you imagine he probably got it from the same place that gave him his cybernetics. So yeah, you may add...
I might need to get some new arrows for this. Because you said some of his arrows were just shattering from it.
Yeah, I'll say, like, I'm not going to make you actually take any off for a purely flavor thing, but, like, yeah, like, some of your arrows seem like they basically can't handle being fired from it because it's so much stronger than the draw weight they're made for.
Also, now I have a +10 to hit with a longbow.
Well, you are the archer of the team. All right. With that, at last, you all get a long rest.
Right.
Nope. Man, when you all gets back, Ivaebhins gonna pat the spot next to him, like, come and join me.
Which he does so.
That's all I had. He just...
Okay.
He just lays... I don't know what they can and can't do whenever they're quote unquote meditating.
I'll say we've established this in the other campaign. You can meditate in basically any pose. You can do the classic lotus. You can like lie down corpse pose. Like just whatever's comfortable for the elf in question.
Fair enough. Make sure the spot next to him is nice and ready for him.
Yeah, which he kind of rolls his eyes a little bit, but does take the spot. All right. You all get a long rest. And Paul, you are the first to be stirred by the sound of a deep groaning across the room from you. And as you kind of stir yourself awake... What's up?
Where did Flower and Paul sleep?
Farmfall, do you want to sleep down in the living room, or do you have a particular? Because you still would have been the first to wake up anyway. Just
Yeah, we'll
just
sleep
so we
in the living room.
Okay.
Good.
All right. So, yeah, because I was going to say, Paul, you would have woken up first anyway because you went to bed the quickest. You went to bed like 4 hours before anyone else did. As you kind of stir awake, you were expecting to go down for just a quick nap, but seemed kind of surprised whenever, again, there's no sunlight to go off of, but it's definitely been longer than you expected. And you see some shifting movement from Igor on the floor, who appears to be kind of crawling around limply, but not actually standing up.
Paul will go over and make sure everything's okay.
Make a medicine check.
Alrighty then. 4.
You can't tell. It's possible that he's just in pain. It's possible that Greylog broke something vital. It's possible that it could be any number of things. With all the machinery wired into him, you have no idea if it's a technical malfunction or organ failure.
My long wrist. I guess Paul will go over, basically like go to him and just kind of are you okay?
My arms. Where are my arms?
I do apologize. A friend of mine took them off of you.
Fuck. I can't walk without them.
Well now. If I had known that, I would have not allowed it.
My headaches are gone at least. I can still crawl.
Paul.
Maybe I can walk.
Paul will help him. He'll help him up and like help him towards like a couch to sit on
I'll
or
be
something.
right back.
Good. Right. And I'll say, yeah, at this point, Flower and Fall, as Igor, Paul, to your surprise, actually just accepts it without complaint. Flower and Fall, you're stirred awake by Igor groaning, being deposited onto the couch next to you. You can't see his face again as he's wearing the mask, but you can tell by his groans that he appears to be in some pain. And Igor looks between the two of you. And kind of leans forward, and you can see what's left of the mechanics on his back kind of twitching, as if trying to like find the remaining bits of the arms. And why remove them? There's nothing you can hope to learn from them. This technology's far ahead of your time.
Like I said, I had no interest in removing your arms. A colleague of mine did. The one of, I believe, he was in one of those cages.
The Dark Elf?
The shadowy figure one.
He is silent for a moment, and you're initially not sure what he's doing, but eventually he speaks up. Greylog, Orchin, Changeling.
Database. Yeah, that seems to add up.
He kind of looks around. You almost think that he might be looking for Greylog before seeing as he's not in the room. He's just kind of muttering to himself. Flower and Fall, you're actually able to pick up a little bit of what he's mumbling. And just, male, 4'1", 80 pounds, 26 years old. And he's still just kind of looking around kind of aimlessly before hesitating and kind of cracking his neck and rubbing at his head. My headaches have gone away since you removed my arms.
What happened?
Igor's awake, and from the sounds of it, he can't walk without the arms Greylog removed, but it does seem to have given him back some mental capacities that they were draining from him, and he has a seeming database of sorts, as he was able to recall all of Greylog's information based on nothing but seeing him.
Well, maybe now you can make arms that don't take away or don't give you headaches, I guess, actually.
Oh, yeah, I also don't think you hit a nerve. I think it's just those arms were those sewed into his spine that did it.
Yes, you're right. Unfortunately, progress does not always happen smoothly, but it happens nonetheless. I'll return to base and see about more upgrades. I can see that.
Help, or?
Why would you help me? We're on opposing sides. Our goals are mutually exclusive.
I don't like seeing people suffer.
Well, it's appreciated, children. He kind of twitches his shoulder and kind of rolls his arm. I won't be suffering for long. My master was correct. I should have invested in flame retardant skin. I'll be sure to do that next time. Thankfully, the defibrillator seems to be working without a hitch.
Well,
although perhaps it needs more charges. But that is an awful lot of energy. My heart can only pump out so much.
Well, I can't really heal, unfortunately.
Relax, child. There's no healing I need that my master can't provide. Our technology is capable of healing even the most grievous wounds. It'll be a lot of crawling. I'll need to perhaps find another boomerganger to assist me back to base, but I'll go back on the operating table and be back in the running before you know it.
Well, that's why I meant I can help you get there. Or at least to another boomerganger. I'm sure you don't want us to see your camp or anything.
Yes, my master would be quite upset with me if I started showing our enemies the location of our headquarters. But if you could get me to one of my colleagues, that would be appreciated.
Okay.
Well, I was wondering.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Paul's okay with this, but I guess before we head off and get you to where you need to go, voice crack. Is there? I was wanted to ask you a few questions and possibly talk to you about. It seems like you have some unfinished business with us.
At this, you can see his expression kind of furrow beneath the mask, and is that so?
Yes. I mean, do you remember before what you did before you passed out, or?
He kind of leans forward and thinks for a moment. I'll say at this point, Ivaebhins, Greylog, and Asari, you all begin to awaken. Do you have any personal business the three of you wish to conduct, or are you going to head downstairs?
I'm just gonna head. Sorry, go ahead.
Raven just reaches over to you all and just hugs them. He doesn't
Which,
seem ready to get up yet.
yeah, which you all returns, although he kind of laughs under his breath and kisses the top of your head. Greylog?
He's just gonna head on downstairs with a sorry.
All right. Greylog, Asari, the two of you awaken and gathering your belongings, head downstairs. And you don't see Ivaebhins anywhere, or you all, but you see Paul and Flower and Fall on either side of Igor, currently sitting on the blood-stained couch. Igor is kind of looking down at his legs and considering, and by the time he's mustered a response to Paul, the two of you are entering the living room. I remember Mrs. Stilly had promised us the location of the Forgecast Pistol. My master said it was the next key we needed. I remember Greylog and Ivaebhins. I thought they might know something about where it was. After all, your group seems quite talented at finding the keys. And something fell through the roof. I don't remember what happened after that.
Seems, based off what I can assume, those arms are doing more than just. I guess those headaches were not more than just headaches. Seems as though you were. It almost seems manipulative.
He kind of smiles to you and my master did say that if the need arose, he would use the arms to communicate with me, make sure that I was staying on task, not losing focus. It's a permission I freely granted him.
Many already.
I'm glad. I love invoking theories with my stories.
So, has Greylog figured out that he can't walk yet?
You certainly see that he hasn't gotten up, and given that Paul and Flowerfall don't seem restraining him in any way, I'll say between that and how limp his legs look, you could probably piece it together.
Sorry about cutting your arms off like that. I just saw how dangerous you were with them. Self-preservation, everything, you know.
I'm honestly just surprised you managed to cut through them. That sort of metal is typically used for spacecraft.
It took a lot of patience.
I wager it did, Greylog. I'm impressed at your ingenuity and your patience. You would do well in the Boomergangers.
If you'd like, I can try to reattach them, hopefully without those side effects.
He's armless this way.
Yeah.
You can see,
as it may.
You can hear Igor actually kind of chuckle under his breath a little bit, and with all due respect, Greylog, it's not that I don't think you could do it, but there is a great risk of you hurting yourself. These are technologies far beyond the understandings of your age. I would hate for any harm to come to you or your allies because you felt the need to help me. Your friends have already offered to get me to a colleague that can escort me back to headquarters so that I can go back on the operating table.
Well, he'll, at this point, because of the fact that it would be dangerous for us to walk into your camp, well, or to one of your colleagues without getting possibly attacked, he is going to use. Let's see, it's one of his 5 gilded acorns, and he's going to summon a bestial spirit of the land. And let him use that to get back to camp, and then have it come back to him.
All right. What ability is this, just so I can see how long it lasts?
Let's see. It's a summon beast.
Summon beast. Okay. That lasts for an hour. Okay. All right. And as you do this, out of curiosity, any flavor of the beast spirit itself?
Let's say, for sake of everything right now, it'll be a spider, a giant
Okay.
spider.
All right.
And it will carry his arms that I cut off as well.
All right. And as the spider starts gathering up the arms, he holds up one of his elongated hands and, thank you very much, Mr. Orchin. Just give me a moment, if you would. I did agree that I would answer some questions, insofar as I can without divulging classified information, of course. But I also appreciate you having the conscientiousness to gather my arms. My master would be quite upset with me if I were to leave technologies of his designs scattered all over the land.
You keep mentioning this master.
Yes, my master, the leader of the Boomergangers. He intends to bring forth a new age of technology and share it with the world.
Do we have a name?
I'm afraid that is classified information. Although he has demonstrated an interest in meeting you and said that he would be sending an envoy to your hideout in Tortage over the next few weeks.
Thing? Me or just like the crew?
All of you, although he's taken a bit of an interest in each of you. Speaking of which, we appear to be one short. He looks around and thinks for a moment. Ivaebhins, dark elf, 20 years old, 140 pounds, 6 foot even, gray skin, white hair, male. Where's he?
Upstairs with his boyfriend. If you really had to know.
Statistically speaking, that's most likely to be Ual Selukar, son of the Lord of Lord of Quaco Village. Is that correct?
I really have no idea.
Well, no need to bother him then. I'm afraid I cannot divulge my master's name, but again, he has agreed that he will be sending an envoy to meet with you personally over the next few weeks, or potentially months, depending on how long your travel back to the Isle of Tortage takes. But, Paul and Miss Flower and Fall, you had questions for me?
Yes, though I guess before I ask these questions, I would like to know if you'd be okay if I would, I guess you would say, put something in its place so you know what fear is true.
Oh, of course.
He's going to now just put his hand to his chest as he says some words, and he's gonna cast Zone of Truth on. Gonna be point on him. Anyone within a 15-foot radius of him needs to make a Wisdom saving throw, or is it Wisdom?
Charisma saving throw.
Charisma saving.
All right.
So all of us.
All All right, and yeah, you know whether a creature succeeds or fails on its saving throw.
And they know if they're under the effect too.
Okay. And I will say failing deliberately is an option for those who would be just fine doing that.
Paul will do.
Flower and Fall, do you attempt to resist?
Nope.
Okay. Asari, Greylog, do either of you resist?
Seems like they do. Like I see their roll.
Well,
Yeah, I got a 17.
Yeah, so.
and I got a 8.
All right. What's the DC for it?
I think it's 14. I was like, it's 13 or something, but yeah, it's 14. So I guess Paul noticed that. Sorry, resisting it. Yes.
Okay. Also, out of curiosity, any flavor for the spell itself?
Besides him, he's just gonna put it's simply him putting his hands to his chest and muttering the words.
Okay.
Let the truth be known.
Oh, let the truth be known. Okay. And given that it tells you, you know that Igor fails to resist it. Although you don't know whether he attempted to or not.
Yeah. Tell me that.
Say on a failed save, so this goes for everyone, basically.
Except for
On a
Ed.
failed save, a creature can't speak a deliberate lie.
As long as they don't know they're lying.
Yeah. So basically, and because a lot of people do mess up this part of the spell, nothing is compelling you to speak. You just can't deliberately lie when you do. Because a lot of people interpret it as like it forces you to talk even if you're trying to stay silent. So bear in mind, you don't have to talk, but if you do, you have to tell the truth. So that being said,
That's fair.
Igor does not resist the spell. And he folds his hands over his lap politely and looks to you through his
Does
mask.
that also mean that you can tell a truth that doesn't answer the question you're asked?
Absolutely.
Like, I think you're in. Like, what is your secret plan? I think you're an asshole.
No, yeah, basically, yeah.
As long as your statement is not lying, yeah.
Yeah, and even then, as long as it's not deliberately lying. So you could tell information that's wrong that you just think is correct, or yeah, you could just say something that's not helpful. Again, a lot of people tend to botch this spell, so I just wanted to mention that. That being said, he again folds his hands over his lap politely, kind of pulls up his legs to sit all nice and dapper, and looks to you, Paul, with a presumably very polite expression, given his body language under the mask.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say, Flower and Fall, you are in the room and free to ask any questions as well, since he did mention that you can ask him anything you need to know as well. Mm-hmm. Although he has said that he will not be willing to divulge classified information.
So he'll probably say nothing if you ask something he considers classified.
Yeah. Or just say that's classified. So to him, that's true.
Because that would be the truth. If that helps you, what can I help you with?
Well, I'm assuming this will be considered in your classified, but do you know do you know the location of other artifacts?
We know the locations of all of them.
Are you willing to share how you obtain this information?
He considers for a moment before. In truth, I thought you already knew. You may be familiar with a shared associate of ours, one assassin going by the codename Blue Moon.
Yeah, the death girl who dances. The one at the beginning. Well, the one that's at our base.
I mean, I thought you knew she was working with them before.
Well, she was working with them. It's just she started working with us for now. So,
in exchange for a share of what's on the other side of the door, she agreed to part with the artifact she had been guarding, a compass that could point us in the direction of the other artifacts. In truth, my master and I had been assuming that's how you had been finding all of them.
So the compass by itself can lead to the other artifacts?
He kind of tilts his head, and you truly were not aware of that? Did she not inform you?
Wait, who are we talking
The one that we've met.
Yeah,
They
you
weren't
met.
here for it, but
No, well,
You weren't here for her introduction, but you did meet her. She was that color dyed-haired girl who was using sign language in Tortage.
about? Okay.
Does she perhaps speak at all? 'Cause the Blue Moon that I've gotten to know doesn't really say any words.
Yes, she was a mute. Born one, by my understanding. Our technology is capable of fixing it, but she refused.
Information, yes.
Although I will not divulge her personal motivations on the matter, simply that it was her consenting choice that we did not fix it. I don't want to get across the idea that we are stingy with our technology.
You are fine. What she chooses to do with her life is her choice, but though that is good information to know. So this clearly won't tell us about your master, as you proclaimed, as besides what you've already told me.
I cannot divulge anything that would compromise his identity or put his safety into question. After all you need is a name or a description, and that can give you enough to perform a scrying. And that is the last thing we need on this hunt.
Do you know about some prisoners from... Do you know where you hold your prisoners?
Prisoners?
Yes, we were informed that you might have some people that you were holding.
I'm afraid I don't quite understand. It is not the nature of our business, so to speak, to be in the market for taking prisoners. After all, what is there to be gained? People either accept our technology or refuse it. At the very least, if there are prisoners, I'm certainly not aware of them, nor do I understand what would be gained by possessing them.
I heard a story about a location. I guess you probably won't confirm it, but do you have a base on the moon?
There's a lengthy pause. In truth, I expected you to figure it out much later than what you did. I suppose even my master made the mistake of underestimating you. Yes, the Boomerganger headquarters is on the moon.
Alright. All good information. Yes. Do you remember the night we first met? Or the day we first met?
How could I forget it? We were questioning Anna Kemry for the location of the door, and for her help in deciphering it. You three, Flower and Fall, Paul, and Captain Red, approached us on the dock, and on seeing that Miss Kemry was not being receptive to our questioning, assailed us, and I was nearly killed by Captain Red, thrown over the side after his beastly transformation. My colleagues just managed to fish me out of the bay and bring me back to base, where my master had to conduct extensive surgeries on me to revive me of those wounds.
I do apologize. He did go a bit too much, but he's no longer with us. If you wish to know where he is, I can at least tell you the last known location.
Perhaps such information might be useful.
Last time, though, I hope this doesn't, result in hurting the people where he again last seen, but he was. That's why I can. Guess you already know where all the artifacts are. So the location of the first artifact would be the breastplate. So we were on the island and we lost him there.
Very well. Once my wounds are healed, I will conduct a search of the area, perhaps see if I can't ascertain where he may have absconded to. And I suppose I should clarify. Yes, we do know the location of all the artifacts, but our knowledge of it is rather, shall we say, indirect. He considers for a while before. The data I'm able to conjure on people, on locations, on events, it's part of the technology that the Boomagangers use. So, to put it a certain way, we don't necessarily know in the way that would allow us to see it, but we are able to make deductions. Miss Kemry, as a student of archaeology, was likely to be able to prove that our statistical claims were accurate. We had sent Blue Moon along with our compass to confirm that that was indeed the location, but in the event that was false, my job was to question Miss Kemry and determine if that location was correct, and if it wasn't, what the correct location was. So, to put it in a way that you third age mortals can understand, what we're using is very scientific guesswork, predicting the future in a way. We don't know where each artifact is for certain, but we know where it is most likely to be. In truth, we had no need for the Dark Elf's assistance. We knew where the pistol was as soon as we arrived in the city. But whenever we arrived, Miss Estilli accosted us and insisted that in exchange for her assistance, which as far as she knew we needed, that she would happily part with it insofar as our goals aligned, which it's a shame that she did not have the principles to stick to those goals as concretely as she believed. I'm afraid that once the personal matter of her son got involved, things began to get messy. It's a shame. I think the city could have truly benefited from our technology. Perhaps then they could finally evolve out of their backwards ways.
I agree with you on that one.
I'm
Oh.
interested by something that you have said about the compass. Am I right to understand that the compass can lead to other options? Are you able to show us how?
It's rather simple. As I understand it, Blue Moon has abandoned the cause in favor of yours. Perhaps she can explain how it works.
We'll ask her next time we see her.
Yeah, but maybe not let Ivaebhins do the asking. I don't like his methods.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Are there any further questions?
Well, I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting this to go a lot differently, but
Oh?
yes, this seemed like your best way I can describe it is your attitude has changed, personality.
My master did warn me that may be a potential side effect of my surgery. Mood swings. Again, a lot of this will likely be gobbledygook to you, but to put it very simply, my cybernetics wire into my brain, but parts of it that affect my behavior. The more of my cybernetics I benefit from at once, the more unpredictable my behavior will become. I suspect
Actually, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you really think about it, all of that, stuff inside of you, giving your brains the wrong signal. I don't imagine that's, a thing that's like too hard.
Yes, using it too much gives you some memory loss.
Indeed. Also, indeed, a very astute observation, Dr. Cox.
I kind of give a smile.
But as far as I am concerned, the questions that I wanted answered are done. We can get you back to where you need to go, unless someone else has any questions they wish to ask. Or maybe you have questions for us.
Miss Flower and Fall, is there anything you'd like to ask me?
Oh. So, what exactly do you guys think is back there behind the door?
At this, there is a bit of very obvious hesitance. That's classified, I'm afraid.
What? An opinion?
Well, my guess is that they are hoping that it's extreme technology beyond what even they have at the moment.
Oh, don't misunderstand me, Mr. Orchin. As I said, my organization does not need to rely on such meager mortal manners as hoping for a result. We know what is behind the door. You see, what your magic fails to scry, our technology can see without fail. We know what's back there, and we know how to get it. There's just the simple matter of doing it. Unfortunately, flesh is unreliable. Our original plan had been very simple. Blue Moon and myself would confirm our statistical calculations. I would question, I suppose she is technically a doctor now. I would question Dr. Kemmery to confirm that our statistical calculations were correct, while Blue Moon went to see in person to confirm the location. I failed, but Blue Moon succeeded. And while she did not report back, that gave us all the information we needed. At that point, we could at least be reasonably certain our further calculations were correct, but you beat us to the wind breastplate. We were hoping to get a head start on you on the Forgecast Pistol, But, well, we may have gotten here first. We unfortunately did not get here in the quality that I was hoping for. We could have secured it faster, but there would have been unnecessary casualties. And I was not looking forward to starting a war in Ostiliant when all I want to do is help these people.
That's fair.
But more to the point. We know what's behind the door, but it's classified information, I'm afraid.
Well, I'm sure one of us will find out for sure eventually when the door's open.
Indeed we shall, Mr. Orchin. Indeed we shall. And he looks to you again, Flower and Fall. Did you have any questions for me?
How did you come to join the Boomer Gangers?
He seems actually a little surprised by that question, and kind of looks at you with a tilt of the head, and pauses for a long moment before speaking again. The master of our organization was a friend of my family's. We used to be a minor noble family in Yav. But I had little interest in just furthering the desires of my family. I wanted to do something. I wanted to change the world, or at least have some kind of long-term effect on it. He's silent for a moment, and after a time, the master approached my cousin and I, and invited us to join his organization if we were willing to undergo whatever procedures were necessary to ensure the victory of our people. I was personally more than willing. I
do have a quick question. The master, he's the one that does the alteration.
Indeed.
Does that sound anything like I would have heard about?
Make a history check at disadvantage.
Yeah, because it's in a whole different part of the fucking...
I think it's Kaloom.
I do too, but... And the second one is a 17.
No, this is far more advanced than anything you've heard of. These arms, his eyes, the electronic gills.
Mm-hmm.
You've never even heard of things like this being even with magic. These kinds of alterations would be like suicidal.
Right.
So
maybe somebody like experimenting or something.
Initially, I was hoping to join the Adventurers Academy and travel the world, but no, it wasn't long after my graduation that my cousin and I met the master, and, well, we were both more than willing. The things he showed us, the things he's capable of, it's beautiful. We're going to change the world.
What do you mean, change the world with the technology?
Exactly. We want this sort of thing to be accessible to everyone.
I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing.
How could it be anything but great? I almost died. No magic could have brought me back, but technology saved my life. Improved
that is a bunch of bullshit. That is the biggest lie I've ever heard. I know you think you're telling the truth, but I've heard of people getting healed by clerics and clergies of all different arrays of religion. I don't think that magic can replace technology.
I mean,
You
technology can replace magic.
Whatever. You know what I fucking meant.
Yes, but think about what you just said, Doctor. A cleric can do that. I almost died twice today, but my technology ensured that I would have survived. Even if I had fallen through that floor and fallen all the way into that pit, I would have survived it. That's something magic can't do.
You
Not
may have
without the-
survived it, but are you living? I mean, look at you. You just said without your additions, you've got no headache, no other symptoms. Your personality is a lot more pleasant, I should say. And honestly, it's changed you, and not in a positive way.
All progress comes with side effects. There's always going to be bugs. But
Oh, that is also bullshit.
with all due respect, Doctor, we may have our professional disagreements, but I truly think that this sort of thing would be best for the world. And how can we hope to improve it and make further improvements on the designs if we can't use them?
I understand.
And they're not
Passion, I do.
forcing it on anyone.
I can just see the writing on the wall. It would put us out of the market, that's for sure, and it would just leave a footprint on this planet that is irreversible.
Doctor, let me put it to you this way. On the way down here, did you happen to encounter the Gatling gun?
Yes.
Yeah, it was
Sort of.
quite fun to blow up.
Don't worry, we have several more advanced designs now, but my master has high hopes for that. Imagine that, a weapon that can do the entire work of an army on its own. War would become entirely unnecessary. Who would be willing to fight with weapons like that on the battlefield? There's a potential for world peace on the table, Doctor, and that's something that magic isn't able to do.
That's absolutely untrue. If there are weapons of mass destruction and each of us has it, who's to say that's not going to blow up the entire world?
And this is unfortunately why we must operate the way we do. The people of this age simply don't understand what our organization's trying to accomplish here. What is on the table?
I completely understand. However, I don't appreciate the idea of different countries all owning these massive weapons that can destroy everyone at a snap of a finger. I don't appreciate that thought. You can't fight fire with fire. The whole world's gonna burn.
As far as the weapons, I agree. The other enhancement, like, you do. And
No, the enhancement is fine, but yeah, I just don't
You've been complaining
think
about the
that-
robotics, not the.
I don't think that it's a good idea. But whatever.
Well, the thing my master always tells me to say in these situations is progress is going to come whether you like it or not, Dr. Cock. And I would sincerely much rather it that you're on the right side of history. And he extends a hand out to you and looks over at all of you in the room. I do have one question I was hoping to pose before I leave. Why not join us?
I don't like y'all's method.
I thought you might say that. But for what it's worth, we sincerely want to help people. Unfortunately, this world is full of a lot of ignorant and selfish people who want to maintain the status quo because it benefits them. You said it yourself, Dr. Cox. If we succeed, you're out of a job.
I have a question.
Yes, dear?
Can you look me in the eyes and guarantee that everyone who get their hands on all of this technology we'll use it for good.
He turns and his eyes zoom in on you, and I can say that if everyone possesses equal technology, it won't matter.
And even
Sorry,
then,
just kind of.
he did mention that with this technology, the boss or master can always take control to prevent betrayal.
It doesn't seem a lot of one-sidedness.
Is there any hope that I can convince any of the rest of you to come with me? I do sincerely think you would all fit in our ranks well.
From what I've seen in your ranks, it seems like shooting people, even if it's just merely annoying them, not my type.
I understand. In that case, I regret to inform you that our professional differences will remain.
Okay.
He extends an arm over to you, Paul. Would you mind assisting me to the Beast of Burden?
Sure. And can you help him up?
And as
It
Paul...
will last you for a while. Point in the direction you want it to go, and it will follow.
Thank you very much, Mr. Orchin. And for what it's worth, the offer still stands, and my master hopes to make it again to you all in person, once all the matters here in Osteliant are settled.
Well, we'll have to wait and see on that.
Well, I can't sincerely say, under the effects of the spell, that I wish you all luck, but I do hope you all come to see reason someday.
Yeah, fair enough.
You're a involvement officer. Sorry.
He hoists himself onto the spider and kind of gathering up his arms from its mandibles, kind of holding them protectively to his side and under his arm. All right. And with a tap of his elongated finger, extends it out towards the front doorway. Yeah! And begins to skitter away on the spider's back to the door, more shoving it than opening it, and across the pit and out of sight.
All these people
Now,
walking
I
out.
think we should get that pistol real quick, huh?
Please, let's get out of here. I don't think I can stand it much longer down here.
Spell slots. Yeah.
You think on the way back, before we go to Tullidge, we can stop by Britannia? I'd love to see my mum.
We'll see.
Yeah, it's on the table.
But,
I look upstairs where I know Ivaebhins is still doing whatever he's doing. Just kind of roll my eyes. If we can all agree on it.
Well, for now, Greylock is gonna run upstairs to knock on that library door. Okay, you two, it's time to get going. We got a pistol to get.
You all calls over Ivaebhins' shoulder. We'll be down in a moment. And looking down to you, Ivaebhins kind of gently runs a hand through your hair, and all right, sounds like they're about ready to go.
You remember remember that one time you woke me up that one time?
More or less.
I didn't know what to say from there. I was just
Get off.
remembering it.
All right. Get off me.
Are you hungry? I have food.
That's tempting, but from what your friends say, it seems like we're going to be getting out of here today. I'd rather eat something on the surface.
You gotta keep your strength up, though.
All right. Well, we'll eat on the way.
Okay.
I want to see more of the city while I'm not being dragged around it.
Trust me, it's not much to look at. It's mostly just darkness and people threatening to cut things off of you.
He gives you a somewhat remorseful smile, and it's also made out of beautiful jewels, and there's so much enchantment on it.
It probably would be nice if there wasn't so much threats of cutting things off.
He kind of frowns.
Fingers, toes, ears.
Yeah, I get it.
I do have to admit, though, it would be a nice place if it just didn't have, well...
The people cutting things off, yeah.
It would be a nice place if it had better people living in it.
He, again, kind of frowns, but nods his head towards the door.
You know how this is probably a part where a human would say, oh, well, I'm sure things will get better eventually, but it's like in elf societies tend to move very slowly.
The only reason I'm not saying that is because I know you're not going to listen.
I mean, it makes sense that our societies move so slowly. I mean, the people who set things up don't die.
He kind of shakes his head and runs a hand through your hair again. And come on, let's get you out of here.
Or I go crazy and actually admit that the humans might have a good idea.
Heaven forbid. Ivaebhins actually acknowledges someone else might be right.
It's progress.
Flowerfall, Paul, sorry, down in the living room. As Greylaw goes to fetch Ivaebhins, a couple minutes pass as Ivaebhins gathers his things. But the three of you's own gathering and the prisoners kind of nervously fidgeting around, wondering what's going to become of them. Your thoughts are interrupted by a knock at the door.
Who the fuck is knocking on this door?
I'll answer.
Asari kind of throwing open the doors casually. You see a dark elf man.
I bring him inside. Just yank him inside and close the door.
Welcome to our bloody shithole.
Ivaebhins, I'm assuming you're saying this as you're coming downstairs.
Yeah, he's just gonna say, welcome to the shithole covered in dried blood.
All right, so Greylog and Ivaebhins, you come downstairs to see Asari just yanking in the dark elf man who was knocking on the door. He seems very surprised, but thankfully doesn't panic, kind of looking around nervously, and right. I was told that you all are allies of the Bees Without Hives?
Whoever the fuck that is.
Wait,
Minor acquaintance.
well,
We had a run-in with them.
well,
We could...
Okay, not liking the mixed answers I'm getting, but
we
I will...
we work together, but it seems
I
like we might be
Are those the
Bibles
people who
later.
helped you break us out of the prison?
Yes.
The fact that you're not chopping things off certainly gives me an idea that, at the very least, I haven't just committed suicide admitting that. I'm here to deliver something, but I would like to deliver it to one person in particular.
That be.
I step aside.
Deliver what to who?
I was told that you guys are going after the Forgecast Pistol, and I happen to know that there's a important key you're going to need to get there, so I thought it might be best to deliver it as a favor to my nephew.
Okay.
And he looks over all of you very carefully before his gaze settles on you, Ivaebhins, up the stairs. And he stares at you for a long moment before slowly pulling free a familiar-looking spider medallion from his pocket and holding it out towards you, letting it dangle freely from his fingers.
What is your name?
He gives a bit of a smile and
Did we ever settle on what Ivaebhins' original name was?
well, even if we did, you wouldn't remember it very well. He gives you a smile and I don't expect you to remember me very well. You were so young. I'm your uncle. I took care of your father after he got sick.
Did he really get sick?
He pauses for a moment before giving a nod. He did. There wasn't anything that could be done. He's practically mad with grief. But as mentioned, you probably don't remember me very well. He,
Do you even remember anything about him?
make a history check and a wisdom saving throw.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Where the fuck are my
Yeah.
dice?
So
Hold on.
when I see that medallion, I want to pull the one I already have out and compare them.
You pull yours out and start to compare the two, and he kind of frowns a little bit and just, you've already acquired one, have you?
Yeah, I think he stole that from.
Always good to have. Always good to have extra.
Quite.
If I remember correctly, I think he probably stole that from the bitch who birthed me.
So I guess that explains why she was so angry when she came home last night.
Yeah.
Got a nice whip from her too.
Let's see, wisdom. Should I make the wisdom first or the history first?
I'll say wisdom first.
Natural 20.
Okay. You managed to maintain your composure.
18 on history.
You do remember the man. This is your uncle, Leknu Istili, a close friend of your father's. He lived in the compound, or rather the family home before the compound, with your family, but while he was always very close to you, similar to your father, there was only so much he could do, him even less so, as he didn't have marriage. He was basically always treated around the house as the expendable male in the event that something happened to your father.
What did my father get sick with?
Grief, more than anything.
Poison.
No, that's not the Istili clan way. Perhaps if he was a competitor, but no. He seems kind of defeated. And Ivaebhins, looking him over, he seems a lot worse off than when you remember him, and you don't remember him looking that good to begin with. He has a kind of messy mop of red hair. His skin is this kind of more sickly looking gray than yours, and he has a lot of weight on him for an elf. And you can see he has several gashes and lashes on his face.
What happened to you after he died?
After he died, I was given permission to stay in the compound, and as long as I kept my mouth shut, get the royal treatment for the rest of my days. Your mother found out that I'd been spreading the word that I personally believed that you survived.
How did you base that assumption?
Grief took your father from us. I thought it only fair that hope be what brought you back to me.
Hmm.
You should leave this place. It's not safe for people like us.
The surface won't do me any favors. I can't imagine it's done you any. Although, and he looks around at the party. I don't know.
You get some funny looks, but it's still better than walking around waiting for someone to chop your finger off or something.
He clenches his grip around the medallion chain and what happens to me doesn't matter. If I had known that you already had the key, I wouldn't have even risked it. But your mother's grip on her authority down here is starting to slip, and whenever I heard rumors that her son had lived, and that she had not intended it so, not to mention the rumors that a call for Arachne was denied.
It's about time Arachne did something about put their foot down over this crap.
Maybe.
At least one of their 8 foots. Do spiders have feet?
Yes, they're very small, but yes. In truth, I should probably be returning to the compound, but when I heard rumors that the son of Istili had returned to Ostiliant, your mother was so angry, I had to see if it was true for myself. He kind of looks you up and down, and you can see his face kind of scrunching as he struggles to hold emotion back. And you're taller now. More scars than I remember, but definitely the right boy. How did you survive?
Well, at first I just kind of wandered. I was only what? I'd only been alive, what, like 5 years?
Yeah.
Most people probably wouldn't give me even the slightest chance to make it more than a day. I wandered around and eventually I was found by 2 wood elves. Instead of speeding along things, they took me in.
I see.
I grew up with them ever since.
Wow. He pulls you into a hug, and I'm just glad you're alive. I'd hoped, but I had nothing more than hope to go off of. I mean, you may not have use for my key. And he kind of, still maintaining an arm around you, but pulls away from the hug and looks over at all of you. Sorry. I know this must be weird for all of you. My name is Leknu Stili. I'm, the name you're going by, it's Ivaebhins now, right? That's what I
Yeah.
was told.
Honestly, I can't even really remember my original name.
It doesn't matter. But there's something all of you need to know. Don't go to the caverns where the pistol's being held. The boomagangers are waiting for you there. It's a trap.
Oh, I'm sure. But we have our own method.
We've dealt with
You could say.
We've dealt with them before. You ever seen those big guns they wheel around? The one with lots of what do they call that gun? The barrel?
Barrels.
You seen any of those ones on carts?
No.
Well, we blew one of those up.
That situation was a bit different.
I don't know how they found it, but
Do
the
you
bees
know
without...
roughly how many?
No. Nor do I know the nature of the trap, but I left the compound after your mother returned, saying that you were back in Ostiliant and alive, and started wandering the city looking for you. And I ran into the Bees Without Hives. They said that, seeing as I was sympathetic to their cause, at least to a degree, as much as I can safely be, that they would tell me where you were as long as I passed that information on. And they said to the knight in the suit, and he turns his gaze to you, Paul. I'm assuming that's you?
The useful human.
I guess I never really saw myself as a knight, but I guess.
They said to tell you one last favor before the chase begins.
Last favor.
I'm guessing that's warning you that the trap is there. I don't know how they know about it. I don't know how the boomagangers know where the pistol is. Honestly, I don't even know if what they told me is true. But... And he turns his gaze back to you, Ivaebhins, and kind of does that kind of awkward pat down of your arms before just pulling you into another hug.
Raven will return the hug.
His heart grew 10 size bigger.
Oh, shut up!
can't
Well,
believe it.
if there's a trap, we better get going.
Is it really that smart to go right into a trap?
Well, it would be impolite
Well-
to keep him waiting.
What other
We
choice
gotta
do
get
we
the pistol
have?
somehow.
That's fair.
We can't let them have the pistol.
Maybe I'll. How
And
do
it
you
may,
feel about fire?
Fire's nice. Fire, Fred?
Ivaebhins' uncle kind of looks around, and after a bit of consideration, looks back to you, Ivaebhin, and well, if you're really set on going, in spite of the warning, just please come back safe. I should return to the compound before your mother realizes I'm missing.
I really think that you should try to leave that place.
Perhaps I will.
I don't. It doesn't feel right knowing that I have some decent family still being tortured by that woman.
He runs a hand through your hair, and if a little boy left to the wolves can make a life for themselves on the surface, then maybe there is hope for us. But the least I can do is keep her busy. If the Bees Without Hives know that the Boomergangers have found the pistol, then it's only a matter of time before she hears about it. The least I can do is keep her away from you until you have it in hand and are out of the city. I don't know what this...
Part of me wishes I could have finished the job when I had the chance.
Don't put that woman's blood on your hands. If your father and I had had it our way, you wouldn't need blood on your hands at all. But let the pain she causes remain here in the darkness with her. He puts his hands on your cheeks and looks you in the eyes, and I don't know what's happening. I don't know what this pistol is, why it's important, why you want it, why she wants it, who these people are, why they want it. But the least I can do is make sure that whatever it is you're doing, you succeed. I'll keep her away from you, and then whenever it's safe, I'll sneak out of the compound, and if you really do believe there's a place for me there, I'll make for the surface and meet you there.
We'll be heading up that way as soon as we get the pistol as well. I could show you where I've been staying, and well, I would hope that they'd be willing to help you. They were willing to help me.
Well, hope's kept me going this long. What's an extra day?
If it comes down to it, we can always get him a new place. We got enough coin.
Yeah, we did rob that claw blind.
Yeah. They had it coming, keeping that much wealth in one place.
He places another hand on your head, Ivaebhin, and looks at you up and down before. Be careful. Come back safe. And your father loved you. We're both sorry that we couldn't do more.
Wasn't anything you could do. Did she plan it, or was it just something she did one day?
Neither. Honestly, In truth, I think she mourned him in her own way.
No, he was talking about how he got left out in the forest.
He kind of tilts his head, and she didn't talk about it much, but she said that with 2 men to take care of already, having a son and no female heir, our family would never rise to the great council of Astiliant. She believed it was best for our family, and that if Arachne blessed your life, that you would survive.
Oh, wouldn't that be just a kick in the ass? You have more than she does. I think that's hilarious.
Oh, honestly, that would be delicious if a dark elf male had more favor with Arachne than the females do.
Just me and you specifically.
She didn't tell either of us until it was too late. Your father tried to go to the surface and find you, but you were already gone by then.
The funny thing is, whenever she tried to use her medallion, nothing came.
So the rumors are true then. Arachne has abandoned the Astili clan.
I'm almost wondering if Arachne might be on the verge of abandoning this whole city. Maybe they finally had enough of it.
She's already done it once. Your father never gave up trying to find you. He was going to launch a whole expedition to find you whenever he couldn't find you alone, but your mother said that you would return if it was Arachne's will. And that was when he fell ill.
Did she even care?
In her own way.
As in, she cared that she lost a way to make an heir.
She cared in the sense that she honestly believed in what she was doing, and I know you, after everything, you're likely not one for gods, but even after everything, a part of me likes to believe that while Arachne was giving her everything she wanted, she made sure she would lose everything along the way.
Part of me would like to see that.
From the sounds of it, you just might.
Break her down, then maybe I can have her coming to me asking for me to kill her.
The city will be better off without her. And better off with you. He places his head against yours and be safe. I'll see you on the surface.
I'll see you there as well.
He gives the rest of you a respectful bow, and Greyloggy turns to you and holds out the medallion. You said that it might be handy to have an extra. She's definitely going to notice I took it, but
everyone will take the medallion.
Yeah, I'll let him. Only fitting that he get one.
He has some theories.
If any Astiliant patrols try to stop you, just show them that medallion and they'll let you by.
I have a plan of it.
Yeah, look, just do as you.
Well, they won't exactly stop the person that is in charge.
You're really gonna subject.
Well, why not?
You don't.
I wish you all
Either
the
way,
best.
we need to get moving at least.
Right, I need to get back to the compound. I wish you all the best of luck. Be safe, all of you. And thanks, all of you, for taking care of my boy.
He's stronger than you think.
If he's stronger than I think, then his mother better watch out.
I
You already
wasn't
killed
kidding
her
when I
almost
said I
once.
had a shot.
I'm guessing you're to blame for the window dressing, so to speak.
Yep. All the slashes would be for me. I think they might have shot her with something.
She was limping when she came
I
back.
shot her a few times.
Well,
She looked at me and said, "Do you know how to use that thing?" When I pulled out my sword. I think she knows I do.
he hugs you again and be well, Ivaebhins. And may you see the sun again.
What's this guy's name?
Leknu.
Leknu?
Mm-hmm.
And you stay safe as well, Uncle Leknu.
With any luck. He gives you all another deep bow before leaving the home. And you all puts a hand on your shoulder, Ivaebhins, and looks over to the rest of you. If it's really a trap, then maybe it's best that the non-combatants get somewhere safe. Think one of you guys can point me to where these B guys are stationed at. I can get the prisoners there and wait for you guys to get back with the pistol.
I guess Paul will make sure to show the way of where he last saw, where he knows at least the entrance that he was taken to.
Yeah, the warehouse across the street from you.
Yeah.
All right.
Ivaebhins did introduce you all to them, right?
Yes. You all was actually going to go with them along with the other prisoners, but you said that he should go with you.
I meant to the party.
Oh, yeah. You all introduced himself to all of them.
Oh, okay.
He gives you a nod, Paul, and starts to escort the prisoners across the garden.
Prisoners.
And
prisoners.
The no longer prisoners. But
yeah, like the orc, the halfling, the other elves, all that.
I was thinking like the prisoners we had, like that one.
No, like the ones you guys rescued from the claw. And he starts to guide them across the street to the warehouse. You guys make final preparations for your battle with the Boomergangers, giving you all and the crew some time so that you don't create the maximum scene possible. And Ivaebhins drawing a metal arrow back on your new compound bow. Paul getting astride your mount. Flower and Fall loading your pistols and readying your axe and sword.
I like the explosive arrows will fit this bow.
Yes, you can fire your regular arrows from it. It's just basically less odds that they'll be salvageable.
He might have to go see. He knows a blacksmith
Indeed you do.
who might be able to make him some tougher arrows.
Sorry, readying your magical energy between your fingers, and Greylog, just deciding on what animal companion would be most fun to summon. You all know that a trap awaits you, But from the sounds of it, this is the last defense the Boomergangers and Osteliant has to throw at you that stands between you and the pistol. The Boomergangers have found it, and from the sounds of it, may in fact know the location of all of them, and are simply awaiting you, potentially in hopes of salvaging the artifacts you already possess off of your bodies. However, Igor is crippled and will need to return to headquarters, so he has been taken out of the fight. And from the sounds of it, Ivaebhins' mother, her reputation is in shambles, and her house is in chaos. And Ivaebhins' uncle has made one last-ditch attempt to ensure Ivaebhins' safety before all of you make your run for the surface, as potentially from all the chaos you guys are leaving in your wake, the very city of Osteliant readies to crumble. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
Alright. I do have
what
a
kind of
beginning.
whip was that?
What's up?
Kind of whip.
Oh, the whip you got from Ivaebhins' mother?
Correct.
Let me actually pull that up. But while I'm doing that, I'll go ahead and do the outro. Oh, real quick, Ivaebhins, you said you had a question as well?
I had a mechanics question. Do you have to be a specific class to try and use those medallions?
Well, to be fair, you haven't like attuned or identified them yet, so you don't even actually know what they do yet.
Yes,
I was just gonna have him try to copy what his mom did.
Oh,
you can certainly try that, see what happens.
Cleric.
That's one thing he wanted to experiment with.
If
so-
He mentioned that whole thing of like I don't know, maybe she's more on my side than hers.
you have to be a cleric.
Well, that's why I'm checking if there has to be a specific class to
That's
try and use
the thing.
that item.
That's not even an item. That's her ability. It's a cleric ability. You can call upon the gods.
Well, I guess
but-
it'd be up to the DM whether or not I can try
Yeah.
to copy it.
Again, you'll need to either over a long rest or use the identify spell to figure out what it even does. But
Fair enough. So we'll just keep it in our back pocket for something later.
And as for the whip, I don't think you've identified it yet, but I will be putting it on D&D Beyond, so you can add it to your inventory later.
Okay.
With that, if you want to see more of my DMing, check out twitch.tv/gramcrackers, GRAMECRACKERZ, for my Friday campaign, The Goldshine Investigations, at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time, featuring a party of investigators unraveling the cultish conspiracy that threatens to plunge their land into war. Check out our website at officiald5hub.info, down for maintenance at the moment, but soon to be resurrected from the grave like a filthy necromancer getting one too many cybernetic augmentations as they debate the philosophical implications of advancing technology and progress. Join our official D5 Discord server if you want to hang out with us directly. That link is about to be posted in chat. And support our episodes posted on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, and the iHeart Podcast Network, wherever you happen to get them from. For our audio listeners, catch us live on Mondays at 9:30 Central Daylight Time on twitch.tv/Odd Tornado Productions and the YouTube channel Odd Tornado Productions if you want to catch up on what you missed. And check out Odd Tornado Productions Official on Tumblr to find links to our other works, including our freshly recomputered Paladins Twitch channel at twitch.tv/AustinFreak123. If you enjoy what we do, please support us on Patreon. That link is about to be posted in chat. On Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/Odd Tornado Productions, and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/TornadoOdd. The TNO are in fact capitalized. If you want to see more of this party, plus or minus a few, check out our Tuesday game, also at 9:30 Central Daylight Time, of Black Ink and Blue Blood, featuring a party of politicians, nobles, and things of that nature, trying to unravel the political conspiracy that threatens their homeland if they can just stop stabbing each other in the back long enough to actually do that. I think that's about it.
Just saved one homeland.
Yeah, true. One down.
They're making progress.
Other than that, that is about it for me. So, thanks everybody at home so much for watching. Thanks everyone at the table so much for playing. And we'll see you all next week.
Or tomorrow.
Are we clear?